Tuning you in now to the LBX Show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX Show for March 1st, 2026. I'm your host, Brandon Wiley, and we have a good show lined up for you today. First, we're going to dive into a little bit of a brief news you should know. There's a couple of things to cover, and then we'll roll right into an open and shut with Kevin Williams to review all the opening and closing trends from last week. And then next, Adam Pratt on Arcade Corner is going to share some exciting reveals about 2 new game releases coming soon. We hopefully will at least be able to see one of them at Amusement Expo. We might see the second one as well. And then we're going to round up the show with promo pro tips as Chuck DeMonte discusses how to optimize your local SEO, which is also the acronym for search engine optimization, and how to really do that and do that on a good budget. So anyway, that is our show for today. Let's start off with some news you should know. All right. Well, coming up in just a few weeks, we have the Amusement Expo International. This is, where FEC owners and operators, LBE owners and operators, and others who looking for amusement pieces and arcade games and merchandising and competitive socializing stuff in VR and laser tag and everything else. Like, you can come to this, to Vegas. This is March 16th to 19th in the Convention Center. I think the show hotel is in Resorts World, and so yeah, you can come in and go and join myself and Kevin and Adam Pratt will be there, and a whole host of us will be there walking around the show floor. So a lot of the LBX Collective cast of characters that you see on the show will be walking around the show floor, seeing what is new, and doing some live podcasting and some other good stuff that we're going to be doing there. So anyway, that is Amusement Expo that's coming up March 16th and 19th. If you haven't already booked your travel, I would definitely get on it so you can get the room block hotel. I know they keep extending it. I'm not sure if that's actually passed anymore, but the room blocks are obviously much cheaper than if you're just going and buying and booking directly on your own. All right, so that is Amusement Expo. The next thing I want to talk about is a group called Little Lion Entertainment. So they've released a teaser trailer for a new type of immersive attraction. This thing is pretty fucking cool, at least based on the teaser trailer we've seen. And I will go ahead and play it here in just a minute. But if you're not familiar with Little Lion Entertainment, they were founded to create basically what they say is like playable theater experiences. It's just a bit of a stretch, but we'll get back to that in a second. That bring people together. The company has built a catalog of some of the UK's best loved experiences from their words. So the majority of their locations are all based in the UK. They also have rolled out some of their concepts in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, like UAE, basically, Dubai primarily. They have also, so some of these include, I'll show some pictures here, chaos carts. So I've talked about chaos carts. I've done battle carts as well in Dubai. And so these are basically a projection. You're in a giant projection mapped warehouse or room. And then you have these like sort of, they're not high speed carts, they're concession carts, but they're electric. But you're driving them around and they projection map stuff on the ground. And it's like basically a Mario Kart. So that you run over stuff, that you can shoot stuff. And it's a really great experience. I have to say, like, it was one of my favorite experiences I've done in a long time. And so really enjoyed Chaos Carts. They also have the Tomb Raider live experience. And then they also have a Pac-Man live experience. So what they've really done, they've evolved Pac-Man live. So when they first came out with this thing, we talked about it on both the LBX show and also Sound Off. And the Pac-Man live was just like you went in and you wore these vests and things like you see here, and you kind of ran around and like you're like basically in this like big projection map live Pac-Man. They've made this into much more of now a theater type experience. They have a host, basically an MC. They do big production. They have stuff on the walls with like these little Pac-Mans are like laughing at you and cheering you on or whatever when you win. And so it's definitely a much more theatrical immersive experience than when they first came out with the concept. So I think they felt like that was probably missing something. And that was actually one of the things that we said is like, I'm not sure that this experience is really going to be super interesting. And so I think they bringing somebody in like a host to really hype up energy. I'm sure they got lots of music. I'm sure the host has some controls. I have not had a chance to play it. They have this active in London and also in Manchester. And so, and I think that they're also going to be rolling out in Dubai. And so a lot of what they've actually done is they've created this thing called an arcade arena. So now you can come in and you can basically activate different games within this arcade arena. So you can choose whether you want to play Pac-Man in this arena environment, or you want to do the Chaos Carts, or the Tomb Raider live experience, or the Crystal Maze live experiences. And so they actually have arcade arena venues in Manchester and Dubai, and one in London. And then they're also they've announced that they're going to be rolling out the arcade arena across the whole of the UK. And I'm sure we'll eventually see some of this come into the US and other parts of the world. But basically, the arcade arena is like a giant video game box. And they see that this is a big opportunity to like swap things out. Like some of these locations, some of these experiences, excuse me, like Tomb Raider live experience, for example, obviously like you can't just swap out, right? That's got to it's not just all projection mapping. As you can see here, there is actual physical structures and stuff in place as well. But I think what was really interesting is the especially as we talk about this new attraction that's coming, which we'll talk about here, and I'll show the little trailer here in a minute. The founder of Little Lion, basically says, they're interested in things like AI-driven NPCs. NPCs in the video game world stands for non-player characters, and so embedding them into the world as well, or opponents that can respond dynamically to you. So it's not just you competing against, but like you're actually competing against things and people in that that are like interacting, not just people, but like actual things and video. And I don't want to give away too much of a spoiler, but like physical things that can react automatically as well. Having show control systems that can have cinematic content, or basically just try to drive better immersion. And so I think it's really interesting that so much of this is coming out of London. And Kevin and I have talked about this again on the show before as well, how much immersive experience, and especially like theater type storytelling experiences, are coming out of London. It really is. I think in my view, and also I think the founders of Little Lion Entertainment's view, that London is the epicenter of immersive live experiences. I would totally agree with that. I really think it truly has become that. And so, I think a lot of it maybe has to do with the roots in theater in London, the tradition of storytelling. And we've seen some of this stuff as well coming out of New York, but not as New York City, but not as much as we have certainly seen in London. So anyway, without further ado, I want to go ahead and pull up this trailer, and we'll go ahead and play it. It's on Instagram, so it's not like we've got all that shit on the side. So anyway, it's not the ideal scenario here, but we'll go ahead and get it rolling as soon as I share my screen. I should have had a pre-share. All right. Anyway, it's coming. Here we go.
We made it.
We did it. Computer, set a course for hub. Set a computer.
Computer?
Critical error. All right. So that was, if you were just listening, then you don't even know what you were listening to. That's fine. But if you were watching it, it was pretty freaking cool. So basically they're saying this is like a combination of like laser tag with a live theater. And obviously it was like dramatized, right? Just, to make it up. Like you're not, you're wearing those vests and stuff, but like you're not like, anyway, they're actors, right? So anyway, the really interesting thing here is that they had an actual live drone flying, and you're basically shooting at this drone, and the drone is chasing you around, and you're basically it's like kind of, again, like laser tag meets I don't even know what, right? Like there's really no comparison here. So very super excited to see this and try it out. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be in London is. Kevin Williams is there, so he's going to have to maybe try it out and check it out and see what it's all about when it launches. It's coming soon at the London Arcade Arena, and I'm sure we'll then see it in some of the other locations as well. But I just thought I would bring this up because this is news you should know, in the sense that this is where a lot of new attraction developers are going, right? They're really looking at how can they create an immersive environment, bring in storytelling, bring in personalization, bring in gamification to everything that they're doing. And so a lot of the new I mean, even when we look at the competitive socializing environment, right? It's creating shared experiences, but it's through an augmented path and way. And so anyway, all that being said is this is something to watch. This particular game is and experience is something to watch, but Little Lion Entertainment is onto something. And I think we need to be very closely aware of the things that they're working on, as well as then what some of their peers are working on, because this is not your typical laser tag, gel blaster, etc. Right? This is something entirely new, using some of the same technology, but now creating an entirely new experience. All right, that is news you should know. Coming up after the quick break, we will have Open and Shut with Kevin Williams. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, big welcome to everyone to this latest Open and Shut. How are we today, Brandon?
Oh, doing well. It's a beautiful here. So looking forward to just getting outside and spend some time outside.
Yes, I was just outside a minute ago. Beautiful spring day here in London. And when it is beautiful, it is beautiful. Even took some photos.
Oh,
but
nice.
Let's jump in. We've got a crowded one again.
All right, let's do it.
You know the rules. If I zip past one, then please use the pause button. And there's some comments in some of these I'm going to zip past that you may want to read up on. Anyway, what I called changing lanes, but this was previously a Pinstripes location that only lasted a matter of months under the confusion and chaos that Pinstripes has been going through, and then has now reappeared as an 1810. And this is a recurring. We will be going into more detail about this in Sound Off, but we want to touch upon this as it is an important Open and Shut.
Yeah, and I can't remember, we talked about this when 810 Entertainment announced that they were going to be coming into some of the Pinstripes locations. Did they do an official deal with Pinstripes, or was this just like taking advantage of the real estate and they're the first ones, the first movers coming in to take the space over?
Best way to put it, the first movers that jumped in and grabbed the sweet meats from the carcass before they decided which ones were worth having and which ones weren't having. I'm just surprised how quickly they managed to turn this one around. And the interesting thing from a point of view of observation, this venue has opened with Versus inside that augmented reality experience. So again, diversification of the entertainment experience.
Yeah. Well, I will say, look, the Pinstripes facilities and venues were always very well appointed, very nice. They were just, overbuilt. Obviously, we've talked about that ad nauseum for their food and beverage, but if they looks like they have taken some of their F&B space and turned it into the Verse Immersive based on these pictures. So, they've certainly reallocated some of the dining area and made it into attraction usage.
We can touch upon management of entertainment experience later on.
Yeah.
Jumping on, and we have a multitude, a backlog, so we say, of the retro arcades. So the Game On Retro Arcade brand has thrown their hat into the market with a phenomenally original name, and they've opened up their New York facility, and they've opened up their I would argue that what they're actually doing is creating a drop-in retail unit hospitality component with an amusement kind of backlog. And the Calvinton facility kind of is the lower end of the themality, where I would say the New York facility is the high end. But hey, another entrant, a little bit of arcade machines and a little bit of retro console.
So I'm going to share my screen here just briefly, because I have a major issue with their branding. So I mean, putting aside their name, Game On Retro Arcade, here is they have multiple. They have multiple logos. So the first one is, here's Game On Retro Arcade. Best parties on Long Island. It's actually not a bad little pop-up flyer on their website. But first of all, it's one pop-up. Now I've got a second pop-up before I've even reached their website, and it's another different logo, Game On Retro Arcade. And then I clear this pop-up, and now you have their main logo here, totally different logo than the other two logos that I just saw. And at least in the photo of their main entrance that you had up there just a moment ago, it was also a different logo than the other three. So they have now 4 different brands that they're trying to put out there. And look, I understand it's a retro arcade. It's probably some level of just, hey, we had a bunch of machines. We like arcades. Let's set one of these things up. They've got a bunch of like really kind of like basic, probably they have microwave setup. You can get this stuff and like make your own little snacks and stuff in their F&B. But I just really, oh, by the way, here's another version of the logo. So now that's 5 different Game On logo versions. So they really need to figure out who they are, how they're branding themselves. And this should just be generally a word of caution to anybody who's starting something like this. Need to make sure you're really paying attention to your brand.
Especially if you're opening 2 facilities. I get the feeling from the light dive that I did into researching this new chain that they originally were in the retail video game sector. So that explains the Game On video games brand. And then they have now pivoted into running entertainment facilities with the retro consoles, with the snacks. Something that is interesting that, you don't have to have full F&B to still be able to increase the dwell time of your patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Sandbox, we talked about it last Open and Shut. We're now currently up to 77 facilities. This is their latest German facility. 3,000 square feet, which is very small retail unit. I would say it's one of their smallest. I think there's only 2 arenas in this particular facility, but it is part of that ongoing franchisee market domination that we're seeing.
Yeah, I think there'll be a reckoning at some point, here with these guys opening up in all of these spaces.
I was just talking to a respected individual in the, so we say the VR and AR sector about this, and they were asking me that question about when is the reckoning. It can go either way depending on their plans for their financial floats. And then we see the pivot from the VR industry. So where I would be normally talking about VR arcade after VR arcade opening, so we say 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we're now talking about the immersive adventure being opened. That is the shared reality, multiple users walking through a VR space. We'll touch upon this a little bit more later on, but here we go, Tokyo, and that's important. We've seen a lot of interest still in VR within the Japanese market, all stripes of VR. And so we have the Art Master, which I would be calling a edutainment kind of experience. Immerse yourself in classic paintings and understand their creations. Then we have in China one which is a pure edutainment, where you can get to walk around the creation and establishment of the terracotta army next door to the museum. So from a museum edutainment point of view, this is the ability to have a monetized attraction on top of your museum component.
The only thing I'll say here before saving off everything for sound off is I do appreciate that these are 30-minute experiences.
Yes.
And I think that is a much more reasonable amount of time for a VR experience. I think when you start to keep a headset strapped on for 45 minutes to an hour, this is one of my issues with the old version of the Versa Immersive augmented reality headsets. They were heavy. They were somewhat painful to wear over a longer period of time. And a lot of their experiences were in that 45 to 60-minute range, depending on how fast you moved through them. And so, they have reduced their experience length as well, some of their experiences. And they have also obviously begun working with the new Ray-Ban heads, Ray-Bans. And so, or I think they might, I think they're the Ray-Bans, if not the Snaps, but they're certainly not using their old headset anymore.
From a business point of view, running a VR immersive attraction with 45 people going through at a time, with them paying for a 30 to 40-minute experience, the mathematics works out as a believable business model, and you don't have to be so dependent on repeat visitation or content changing drastically every couple of months. That said, I wonder how long is comfortable to wander around the Terracotta Army with a headset on. Is it a 30-minute experience because they want a 30-minute experience, or is it more a 15-minute experience with padding? These are the issues. If the experience is compelling, then it doesn't matter what the technology is, other than it's comfortable and it generates revenue. Zipping through, and we will be touching on our Gender friends in Sound Off. Moving through, and we jump straight into Pool House. Not a million miles away from where I'm sitting. They have thrown their doors open to their soft opening. These are the guys behind the Putt Shack concept. They have come up with a gamified augmented reality pool table concept, which has been put into a facility. We've been talking a lot about the build up to this, and now the doors have been thrown open. And this is just taking place just about as I'm going to be doing some traveling. So I haven't had a chance to stick my head in, but be assured that when I'm back, after a little bit of a siesta, I will get my head in there and give a report. There's 2 facilities, funny enough, in London that have just started their soft opening facility that we need to talk about.
Yeah, well, we have touched on this in the past. I am skeptical about its long-term viability. I think it will definitely see lots of usage up front, as gamified pool sounds interesting, but an entire facility built just around pool, I think, will be a struggle.
And that rendering image keeps on changing from every time we talk about this. It has gone from a fully darkened environment with high contrast projection systems to now much more of a retro bar 20s speakeasy approach. It will be interesting to see how they approach the gamification, let alone the hospitality element. We have a showroom opening up now, so more of a tester facility rather than a full-fledged location-based entertainment facility. Kartex have been developing their augmented and virtual reality karting system, pedal-powered rather than electric or fuel-based. It is your chance to try the multiple VR game experiences that they have using this kart technology. Their first one opened up in Barcelona. This is now their second showroom in Madrid, not a million miles away from my family. And so I'm going to be visiting their facility soon to pedal my bum off.
All right. Well, looking forward to discussing this more in Sound Off.
Yeah, we'll catch us some video both inside the headset and outside when we do that. One of the largest FECs in the USA. Not many places can claim that, but our friends at Scene75 Entertainment claim that their Columbus, Ohio facility is that. It is 220,000 square, and we will be talking a little bit more on this because there are some other large FEC developments that we need to touch on, and we kind of have wrapped them up in a bow for the discussion in Sound Off. But I just feel that it is an important consideration that we are in a point in the industry where you can now start dropping into second tier localities this size of entertainment facility and the feel that it's going to be a successful business model.
Yeah, this is interesting because they were open originally in this location already, right? So like this is one of their first 3 locations. They've expanded to 5. They were in Cincinnati, Columbus, and I can't remember exactly the third one right offhand. But this was so I think maybe what has happened is they expanded, they rebranded, and then reopened. I think it may have been why we're seeing this as celebrating this as a new opening. Obviously, they have their new logo as well now, which is touting their 75 ways to play. So which is different than what they had previously. Probably since they were acquired by 5-Star Attractions, about 2 years back. This has been a work in progress.
2 years?
2-3 years?
Yeah. Sorry, brain fade, senior moment. I thought it was longer than that, but anyway,
it might have been. Yeah.
Either way, very close following the acquisition. And one of the things about the acquisition is deep pockets. From the word on the street is the retail mall the shopping mall that they're in has lost a couple of major stores. One of those stores was very close to their facility, so all they've done is they've broken into upstairs to expand the space considerably and so create the largest. I'm going to be interested to see what the reaction is to this. If you've already had an entertainment facility in a locality and you're going to relaunch it as a much bigger offering, how do you get the message out to your local audience? It's going to be important.
I will just come back. I did look it up. It is May 17th, 2023. So just about 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago, they were acquired by 5-Star.
My brain's not totally addled then. That's good. Moving on, and the light is a cinema chain that in the UK that has gone for a very cinetainment kind of model. Not all of their venues have entertainment, but the ones that do usually have a level of amusement. They have very comfortable seatings. They also include the food and drink service capabilities in some of their sites. The one that is opening up in, being redeveloped, again, we need to be clear on this. The Huddersfield facility had some light amusement, but they've expanded their space and they parachuted in a StarQuest laser tag attraction. This is a very American approach to cinetainment. If you'd said to me, what is the light going to drop into their expansion, I would have said competitive socializing. I would have said karaoke, escape room, something like that. For them to drop in laser tag kind of shows that they've done some research into their market, their target market, and they feel that this will fit well. I'm not sure how much of a pacifier to the audience. Do you go watch a film and then go and do some laser tag, or is it more clearly you're going to book to go into laser tag separately?
Yeah, I mean, this is they actually have a large number of attractions. So they say there's 15 activities, and I'm looking through. They have mini golf, they have high ropes, climbing walls, axe throwing, supercharged shuffleboard, right? Supercharged shuffle, other interactive darts, street curling, karaoke, fast batting cages. I mean, so they really are a full-blown. I would say the full-blown FEC. I would almost say a full-blown FEC with cinema, right? So like I would.
Cinetainment.
Yeah, it is cinema. It is cinetainment for sure. But this is not like your Fat Cats, for example, that has cinetainment with some bowling, some amusement, and either mini golf or laser tag, or it's just a few activities. This is a full blended mix.
I would call this an Evo.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yep.
This appeared on my radar purely because of the laser tag. We knew that it already had a reasonable entertainment offering and that they were expanding. You're quite right to point out the addition of the mini golf along with all of the other components does take it to a new level. And talking about the addition to an existing facility of entertainment and our friends at Center Park, we've talked about them before. Both their European operation and their UK operation, which are separate but shared brands, as it were. Their new addition, what they call their entertainment hive, has gone through a little bit of from their first opening of this concept to now the second of this, which is mini golf, shuffleboard. They also have some amusement systems dotted around. They have AR darts. So what I would call a hospitality, competitive socializing component being added. What it's doing is you have the captive audience of the people that are attending the tourist resort park. And while they're there in the evening, you've now got an entertainment component to increase the dwell time and stop them jumping in their cars and going to the local restaurants and pubs in the area. That's how I'm envisaging their approach with what they've done. I still don't think, even at the second facility, that we have a clear picture of what it wants to be. Does it want to be full competitive socializing and easy on the arcades? Does it want to be full arcades catering for the children and still offer something for the parents? This is we're still in that early stage of finding their feet, and they have about 5 facilities in the UK and Ireland that they can continue this experimentation with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you in the confusion. It isn't quite sure what to do or what to be, but at the same time, maybe they're taking advantage of the fact that they don't need to be as defined, given the fact that they're tied to a resort.
Captive audience, so they can take their time to do this. This is their second facility now, and they have picked well the platforms that they've put into the facilities. So there's a lot of thought going into this. I would say there's more thought on the installation side rather than on the themality and game experience side. But again, wait and see. I think we'll see the full picture on the third site opening. And only one shut, which is a good thing, I suppose. And this is really an update. I was slapped around the head by someone getting ready for our trip to Vegas, talking about stuff, and someone pointed out and said, "Why haven't you said anything about the Netflix operation that closed in Vegas?" And I sort of scratched my head for a couple of seconds until I realized, oh, you mean the Army of the Dead experience? Well, again, we'll go into a little bit of the history of what led Netflix to put their virtual reality experience in Area 15 in Las Vegas. But anyway, surprise, surprise, no fanfare for this, but the facility has closed and been shuttered. And it was shuttered just before the building work started on the Felix and Paul VR experience. So it kind of, you kind of get the feeling. I also get the feeling that this may have also been shuttered just around the time that Netflix House opened. So there was no kind of confusion between the VR entertainment that they were going to be offering at Netflix House and the tired experience that was still operational at Area 15.
Yeah.
Anyway, please, if you want to beat me up over stuff that I've missed, LinkedIn is there for that at the moment, or come over to our Facebook Friends of the Stinger Report discussion forum there. It's getting pretty heated at the moment over a particular topic that we're going to touch upon in Sound Off. And we have virtual arenas out. We have entertainment social arenas out. We have Stinger reports out. We're relatively up to date. I'm going to have to spend some time to catch up before the confusion of AEI, and any other questions, there is the email.
Perfect. All right, Kevin. Well, we'll see you on next week's Open and Chat.
Have a good one.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Alan One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack in Missile Command Recharged, Alan One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-one.com to learn more. That's allen-one.com. All right. Well, that was a great Open and Shut with Kevin Williams. And coming up next, we've got Adam Pratt with Arcade Corner rolling right now.
Hey everybody, it's Adam with Arcade Heroes for the Arcade Corner. It's been kind of a slow month for arcade news. I mean, there's been some stuff. Obviously, the Pokemon Pinball announcement would have been the biggest out of all those things. But it hasn't been completely just Pokemon or just pinball out there. As you can see on the screen here, there's one other game that's actually launched. Been asking a lot of different manufacturers. It's like, hey, is this shipping? Is this shipping? Is this shipping yet? And just hadn't heard anything. But yeah, Phantom Vanguard, a modern combat game by Gameloft, is now available in North America through LAI Games. The IP is owned by a company called Gameloft, and they had done several of these back in the day where it's essentially their take on Call of Duty, but it never reached anywhere near the brand recognition globally that Call of Duty ever has. But I kind of imagine that if you were to have Call of Duty ever appear in arcades, that it would be a light gun game of some kind. And so, yeah, but at this point, it wouldn't copy what that Phantom Vanguard has done here. But in case you haven't seen this, then we have, so IGS, they're based out of Taiwan, and they did the actual software development of it, while Up handled the hardware development. But of course, Gameloft is doing the licensing. But this is the official trailer for the game. Just the only problem with that the CG render there is you don't get the big black bar in the middle that the actual one has. But that's, I mean, the guns on this one are the most innovative feature. Maybe I'll turn this down just a little bit, just in case I'm not coming through all the way. But I do not recall ever seeing an arcade game where it has a combination of the mounted gun and the tethered kind of free gun where you can point it wherever you want. And so as you see here, at certain sequences within each level, you just throw it in there and then get to shoot at stuff, but it'll turn it into a heavier weapon like an artillery cannon or heavy machine gun, something like that. So another thing that's slightly unusual about this game compared to most other arcade game light gun games out there is that you're shooting people as opposed to robots, aliens, zombies, ghosts. Since that has filled up, I'd say 99% of games in the past 10 years. The only game I could think of, maybe I'm just not thinking it through fully, but the only one that I can think of that has having you shooting bad guys like that has been Time Crisis 5, which came out in 2015 and was prevalent for a couple of years there. But here's the game as seen at the LAI Games booth back at IAPA Expo 2025. And so that's where I got a chance to play through it. I didn't get a chance to play through the entire game. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the time. Maybe at Amusement Expo is where I'll get that chance. But yeah, as you can see there, unfortunately, just, I mean, I don't mind them putting the two screens together like that. At some point, you forget about the little black bar in the center there. I mean, it would be nice if there was a way to get such a screen that was like a 1:1 aspect ratio. Or really, this one, I don't know what you would call it, if it's a 5:4 or 4:3 exactly when it's set up this way, but it's two 65-inch 4K screens that are vertically mounted like that. And so graphically, it's a very nice looking game because it's designed in Unreal Engine 5. Now, of course, I guess that might be one of those things where some people are like, every Unreal Engine 5 game looks the same. But and a lot of that comes down to artists these days. I mean, there's not these massive differences in graphics anymore like there used to be between different game engines, different graphics cards, and all that. I mean, yes, there are some differences. I'm not saying that there aren't any. I'm just saying that back in the day, if you grew up in the 90s, it was very distinctive when not just game consoles, but PCs as well, what sort of differences you might have. And it was that way for a little while too, into the 2000s. But in recent times, there's just it's really dependent on the artist and how much money they decide to throw into that. But you can find memes out there that show compare a game from 2013 to a game just released now, and sometimes there's very little difference that is noticeable. Now, of course, you do need to see them in motion and whatnot, but yeah, we don't see the big jumps like we used to. But still, this one is a nice looker. I like how they handle the movement there as well, because it's occasionally the camera backs out from the player and you get to see the soldier that they are, just like right there, and it keeps everything moving dynamically and realistic. And so I could see this doing pretty well in venues out there. I do not know what the price on this one is. Of course, it will vary from distributor to distributor just a little bit. But I'm not sure if this is closer to 10,000 or if it's closer to 20,000 on the price. Given that it's through Wallup, it might be closer to the 10,000 range. Maybe it's right there in the middle. Just thinking that because recently Wallup did Storm Racer 2, and the price on that one, I mean, at IAPA, somebody quoted me below 10,000, which really shocked me. But after all the expenses of getting it here, tariffs, etc., even with tariff changes recently, it still ended up being a little bit above 10,000, depending on who you go through. But yeah, that's unfortunately all we really have for news this week, because again, just things have been extremely slow. I know Sega's supposed to have games coming soon. I'm still waiting for some confirmation on that. They just posted a video about Apex Rebels, the standard version, which was at IAPA. And they have the Daytona Championship USA Motion Edition. They have the Put It Party. But again, I just haven't been able to confirm yet when those are actually shipping out, because it sounds like there have been some delays due to the sea freight. A little bit of slowdown with boats and such. But I think that covers everything that we got going on for now. Let me know what you think about that. I guess we will have some news on Alan 1 stuff here, and really we should start getting a lot more news about a lot of other games that are coming out here since now we're into March finally. It's we have Amusement Expo here in just a couple of weeks, and I do know already of some significant announcements that are going to be made at the show, but from smaller companies. I don't know yet if like Raw Thrills or Sega or Bandai Namco have any major announcements coming or not. It's possible on Raw Thrills, as I was told about something just hinted at, really. They didn't tell me exactly what it was, but Raw Thrills, I know they're working on something new. I mean, they're always working on something new, but this sounded like a significant major milestone release. And sometimes, at least in the past, Raw Thrills has used Amusement Expo to be that launch pad for such a game. We have a major Hollywood IP coming as a gun game through another developer, but won't say who or what it is yet. I know what it is, but it sounds like they're going to wait until it's pretty much Amusement Expo time to reveal that. And then I already mentioned Alan One a little bit. So they have quite a lineup. They've been talking about it a little bit out there. Let's take a look at the preview they just gave. And so what you see on the screen here is an early prototype build of Yar's Revenge Recharged, or it might just be Yar's Recharged. I need to double check on that as to what the exact naming of it is. But what Alan One is doing is something unique that has been done before, but it's not been done in modern times. It's never been done, as far as I'm aware, with LCD monitors. And the last time anything like this was attempted in the arcades was 1985. And so, like, here's the side of the cabinet. You can see that it uses a similar form factor, but it's slightly deeper than what they call their Pro or Pro Plus models. Like, you can actually see a Pro, or actually I guess that's a Pro Plus Asteroids there on the right-hand side. This was taken at their factory in Tooele, Utah. And but again, this what you see here, maybe that's a little hard to tell just because it looks more like plastic bags, but they're two LCD monitors. And so one's laying down flat, the other one is serving as a background image. And so this is using what's called the Pepper's Ghost effect. And it was used before, like if you've ever seen an original Space Invaders or Atari's Asteroids Deluxe or a few other games, then yeah, it's that sort of holographic effect. Now, where this is different is that it's, instead of just using a mirror and the monitor laying down like it did in Space Invaders and Asteroids Deluxe, it has that additional second monitor in the back to create a background sort of parallax effect, maybe sort of a 3D-ish effect. Unfortunately, it wasn't ready to go quite yet to see how it will look, but for those curious, Taito did something like this with CRT monitors back in 1985 with Wyvern F0, where it did overlay the two like that, one with the background, one as a reflected image, and creates kind of a 3D effect without glasses. And so this will be done with Yar's Recharged, with Breakout Recharged, and Caverns of Mars Recharged, each of which is going to be showing up at Amusement Expo next month. And so hopefully soon we will see more information about these, or at least see them in action and such. And of course, they'll be playable at Amusement Expo. And so something to look forward to, especially if you're into retro games or just seeing some twists on old tech popping up. That's it for this Arcade Corner. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
All right. Well, I'm a big fan of what Alan One has going on, and not just because they are a sponsor. In fact, I think they came because I was already a big fan, and they wanted to end up sponsoring LBX Collective as a result of that. So I'm not saying that as anything else. I'm just really big fan of what they're doing with the Recharged stuff with Atari. And so anyway, I'm excited to see the new stuff that they have coming out in just a few weeks in Amusement Expo. So anyway, that being said, we've got Chuck DeMonte with Promo Pro Tips coming up right now.
Hello and welcome to Promo Pro Tips with Chuck DeMonte. That is me. And today I want to talk about something that is really overlooked and rarely done, in my opinion. And we speak to a lot of, location-based entertainment brands, FECs, arcades, trampolines, you name it, right? Not only our clients, their prospective clients, and we're constantly looking at their search engine optimization and where they rank. And few and far between are people ranking highly enough for keyword that they should be ranking for. Very, very, very infrequent that they are. And so the good and the bad thing, SEO is a difficult thing. It's something you need to know how to do, right? So you probably have to hire a professional, right? That's potentially the bad thing. The good thing is it's local SEO, right? It's not like you are an e-commerce brand that's fighting for a national keyword, like you want to rank for socks, right? It's like, yeah, good luck with that. That's hard. When you're looking locally, right? You know, when you want to rank for arcade, or you want to rank for a trampoline, whatever the keyword may be, it's really not as hard. And you could really do some SEO 101 basics. And so hopefully you're able to sort of find a professional who can do this at a lower cost because it's a little bit easier to rank higher, right? So let me give you a couple examples and a couple stats that I want to give out to you as to why you should rank high, okay? And so actually before I do that, let me hopefully I could share the screen here. And what I want to do is, give me a second here. So share screen. So here's an example here. You're seeing I put best arcade near me, right? Now you got a sponsor result initially, okay? And you see an AI overview thing, which is not always, that common. A lot of times what you're going to see is what you call here the map pack. And you see Sky Zone is also sponsored here, right? But you see the map pack here, okay? Now, a lot of searching happens here, and this is super important, this area. Again, they prioritize this more and more where this map pack here would basically be right on top, even before the sponsor result, okay? So this is search engine optimization. These people are ranking higher for this search result, right? Activate Games, round 1, Game On Retro Arcade, okay? They're ranking higher, right? Super important, okay? So let me stop the share there. So why is that important? Let me give you some stats, okay? So as of right now, 1 in 5 local searches, not only does that regular Google search, it already starts directly in the Maps app, okay? So 20%, okay? Super, super, super important, all right? Google Maps is universal for local discovery. So 86 to 88% of consumers use Google Maps to find local businesses, okay? Huge, right? So map pack versus organic click behavior, right? When someone searches on Google, not Maps, versus searching directly on Maps. So you see how I was showing you when they search in Google, they still prioritize that map pack. 44% of the clicks go to that local map pack. So those first 3 results. 29% go to those search results underneath that map pack, and 21% go to ads. So 44% of the clicks from those searches, like that arcade near me that I did, would have went in that map pack, okay? Now, here's where it gets really interesting, even more interesting, I should say. Individual map pack click distribution. If you are the number 1 result in that map pack I was showing you, you get 17% of the clicks, okay? If you're number 2, you get 12%, and number 3 drops down to all the way to 3%, right? So basically number 4 isn't even getting any clicks, right? So again, this is why it's more and more and more and more important, right? To make sure you're ranking, especially in your Google business profile. So how could you accomplish this? Okay, a few different ways to accomplish this. One, like I said, find a professional, right? It is a skill set that you need to know how to do it, right? And it is a skill set that a lot of people think you do it once or you do on-site SEO. On-site SEO is different from, other real traditional SEO that you have to get backlinks and stuff like that. So, at Radius, we don't even really do backlinks much, right? Because we do more citations and getting your directories and making sure you're listed properly, which helps you in those listings, okay? So there are certain things that are weighted and how Google weights the ranking of your Google business profile. So first and foremost, if you can, hire a professional, okay? If not, you want to research it, learn how to do it on your own, but I'm telling you the value's there, right? If you really want to start getting more clicks for really relevant things, kid's birthday party near me, things to do near me, whatever, right? Family entertainment center, think of all the keywords somebody was searching for looking you up. So a couple things that are weighted. Are your reviews good, right? Not only are reviews good, are you replying to reviews, okay? Are you posting on your Google business profile? Is your directory and links and website and phone number, all that correct, right? So a lot of those things. Then getting backlinks to your Google business profile, right? And there's other things that I'll be honest, things that I don't even necessarily know how it's done, right? But my team does it really well. And again, I see these results where we're literally in 30 days go from not ranking on that map pack to ranking on that map pack, right? So again, it's super important. I would highly suggest you look into SEO, okay? Because you want to be in that map pack. You want to also be one of the results under that map pack, right? It's super important. I'm telling you, it will increase the visits to your website, right? It will increase the inquiries for calls, for birthdays, for bookings, for all that other stuff. Now, the sort of other piece to this, which shouldn't be overlooked, is if you're going to be sending them to certain places, right? And you can be spending money to be on a higher search result. Make sure again, like the Google business profile has good reviews. Make sure it's formatted correctly. The website's all the information is correct, but also make sure the website your website looks good and is up to date. Okay, that is the front door of your home, right? That is the front door of your home. Okay, super important. You are showing, putting your best foot forward when people land on the front door. So I would highly suggest looking into SEO. I guarantee it'll help you. Okay, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Well, thank you, Chuck, for that information. And we got Sound Off number 112 with Kevin Williams coming up on Tuesday, March 3rd, just a few days from now. And 112. All right. That always blows my mind every time I say that. But anyway, that is a wrap for this week's LBX show. This is Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking ass.